that raises, I think, some critical questions as we move forward, because on the one hand, as you said, we're spending these large amounts of money on weapon systems that are essentially, as you said, on a pedestal. Great to look at. We really don't want to use them. We certainly don't want to lose any of them. And so we want to avoid those kinds of set pieces. While people are then asking, why are we spending so much on a military if it's not actually going to provide the security that we need? And on the other hand, I think that this environment that you say that we're moving into the mid 21st century, banks, not tanks, Facebook, not F-35s, germs, not guns. I mean, all of these ways in which a society can be attacked and it can be compelled to do things seems to suggest a radically different way of approaching international conflict. Do you see that the U.S. is able to, both the national security establishment, but also the society is able to evolve towards thinking about what it means to be in competition and conflict under these types of conditions?
No, it's a great question, Nick. And the answer is yes, we are completely able to achieve this. It's not like we were born in some bad geopolitical area like Germany in the 19th century, right? Between, enemies. The problem is our way of thinking. It's not, in some ways, it's not like we need some super weapon. It's the way that we think. Our paradigm of warfare is obsolete. Everybody else gets this. We do not. We've been lapped. They exploit this, and they try to. What that means specifically is that to us, we think of warfare like battlefield victory, like the Battle of Midway or Gettysburg. And the truth is, we all remember mission accomplished in 2003 in Iraq when George Bush was standing on an aircraft carrier saying, "Hey, we won in Iraq because we achieved perfect battlefield victory against the Iraqi army." It meant nothing for the war. So battlefield victory is becoming obsolete in warfare. And what matters more are things that don't look like warfare to us. And that's what our enemies and adversaries do. If you can wage war, but disguise it as peace to your adversary, you're halfway to winning. So that's why they use like cyber weapons. Well, is that war? Is that peace? We don't know. They weaponize refugees, as Belarus has done on Poland and the EU border. They do things like use mercenaries. Russia uses mercenaries in Africa and the Middle East. Well, we don't think of mercenaries. We think of them as cheap Hollywood villains, and our intelligence community doesn't really collect on them. So they're an excellent tool to do, expeditionary operations. Disinformation, deep fakes, fake tweets. We don't think of those as acts of war, so we don't respond. And that's what our adversaries do. They know that we think of war like pregnancy. You either are or you're not, or like a light switch with no dimmer. It's either on or off. And they know that we always have that switch to off. And if we ever flip that switch to on, like we did after 9/11, the US is going to come after you. So what they do is they keep on they play a game of chicken like China does in the South China Sea. They go right up to that line where we will flip that light switch to on, and then they stop, but they keep everything they've captured, right? Russia does the same thing in different ways. And that's this gradual incrementalism. That's what's gaining them international power. We think of war as like 4 years, like World War II, a couple months, like Gulf War I. But wars, strategic patience and being cunning wins the day, not F-35s and Ford class carriers and all this other stuff.